I know.
Yeah, this is every time when this day comes every year in Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, Srila Guru Maharaj, his mood it's always grave, but there would be some noticeable added depth of gravity, because he is meditating on the pastimes of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. We know even before Srila Guru Maharaj left the world, his final meditation was take on parikrama with Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu and Advaita and the Panchatattva, and he, even at certain times of the day, he would be thinking where they are at this time, like the Astakalya Leela of Mahaprabhu. So just Sarvapriya Prabhu was mentioning before, tonight is the night he will leave, and then the next day, after leaving that night, he arrives in Katwa at the ashram of Kesava Bharati. There's some discussion about his sannyas. It continues all day, and they have kirtan all night, and then the next day that takes place. So when Srila Guru Maharaj would think about these things, he would be thinking like at 1 o'clock they'll be doing around 2, between 2 and 3, he really thought about it in great detail and quite extensively. And in this regard, he mentioned that when he was a student, he had heard some philosophical discussions about time and space. And one thing we should say, perhaps using this as a footnote, once Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, in praise of Srila Guru Maharaj, he said, whether he reads the newspaper or the Vedas, it is the same, because some disciple of his had some misconception about Srila Guru Maharaj. Someone was, whether he reads the Vedas or the newspaper, it's the same. And what he meant was, whatever due to his divine inner culture, when some news comes from this world, whether it be in the form of news or philosophy or whatever it might be, Guru Maharaj can measure it against divine substance and see if it has any merit, even on a reflective level. So often he is praising Hegel and some of his concepts because on a general level they fit, they're appropriate to how to conceive of the ultimate reality. So Srila Guru Maharaj says, yes, we heard in school, one philosopher. So what I'm trying to say is, he remembers all the things he heard in school, what the Christians taught him, what was in philosophy class, history, everywhere. And then in some genius-like way, he applies it to different aspects of Krishna consciousness. So in that way it acts as a bridge to help us understand things. So he says that one philosopher said that space allows for things to coexist. And time, the speciality of time is succession. And then Guru said, but another philosopher came along and said, in time you can also have coexistence. Just as I am speaking now, I say one word and it's followed by a succession of words. And although one word was said at one time and the last word comes at another time, it's when the last word comes that the first word, it's joined, it coexists with the first word and presents a concept. So we can think, all right, that's some sort of an interesting philosophical tangent. But Guru Maharaj, he's mentioning this because he's saying, although this happened ostensibly 500 years ago, it can be appreciated now as if it is a living thing. Because Leela, we always think Radha Krishna, Nitya Leela, Korilo Prakash. Nitya Leela means it's circular, and it means all of these pastimes are going on inconceivably, simultaneously. And it's according to the capacity of the devotees that they have some depth of appreciation. Like we can see or understand from reading Bhaktivinoda Thakur that he's not describing something that happened long ago. He is sharing his vision of the eternal present with you. That is what is extraordinary. It's not, oh, so long ago this happened. No, it's nitya, it's eternal. Just as the Guru Maharaj said, sun rises, sun sets. Actually, the sun has its own position. It's always a particular way. But according to relative local context, it appears to be rising, it appears to be setting. A scripture appears to be manifesting, a scripture appears to be vanishing. A pastime appears to be beginning, certain pastimes appear to be winding up. So Kaviraj Goswami, he gives his own example by saying, using the sun, saying that the sun, like right now, here it's dark, but we know there's a 12-hour time that somewhere like in New York, right now it's 8:30 in the morning, so they've had sunrise. Somewhere else in the world it's noon, somewhere else they're appreciating a sunset, somewhere else it's midnight. So actually, but that one sun, the sun is fixed in its position, but according to relative context and position, simultaneously people are appreciating sunrise, noon, and sunset. So the devotees, according to their capacity and their heart's inner necessity, they're appreciating the appearance of the Lord, His childhood pastimes, and other pastimes. So Srila Guru Maharaj, when this day would come every year, and for the few days that will follow it, it was not that he's thinking, oh, this is something that happened 500 years ago we've read about. That's not his approach. His approach to it is in a very living way. So he is very moved. So if it says that Mahaprabhu is fasting, then he, at the Mat, when he told, I don't want in these days, not that everyone shall have to fast, but we'll take some modest, like what you know is dalma. You know what dalma is? Amir? It's like dal with vegetables in it. And that's a simple way to describe it. In other words, he didn't want, like anything in the world, and recent events we have ourselves, when you feel something for someone, it affects your appetite, your mood, many things are affected by that. So we can understand that within this world in terms of our friends and loved ones. But when you realize that Guru Maharaj feels this way, the way we're moved, he feels very moved and very affected by particular pastimes of Mahaprabhu. It's a very real and living thing to him. So he told what happens before this that is the cause of Mahaprabhu's taking sannyas. Because we hear when they all assemble in Katva, some of the people, Guru Maharaj says, they're voicing the sentiment, who created this sannyas? It's so cruel. Is it necessary? Why is this? That a man, he'll have to leave everyone who's near and dear to him. we curse the person who created, and the crowd, they're so upset at the prospect of Nimai Pandit taking sannyas. They're voicing all these different sentiments. And then Guru Maharaj discusses those things. But he points out that just prior to this, we understand, first of all, in summary, the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, we're told they're for 48 years. So it means 24 years as Nimai Pandit in Nabadwip. Then at the age of 24, he takes sannyas. Then for 6 years, he's touring South India and also visits Vrindavan. Then that leaves another 18. Then situating himself mainly in Puri. 6 years there, mixing, as Guru said, with the public and so many devotees. And that leaves 12 years. And in those 12 years, what does it say? Dwadashabda, Banhi Garbha, what Gurudev called the firebed of separation. These last 12 years of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, Guru is saying, he's retired from public life. What is his public life? Bahiranga Sangekore Nam Sankirtan. Nam Sankirtan, distributing that to the public, which is the duty of the Yuga avatar. As we're told, it's not that Radha Bhavadyuti Krishna enveloped with the heart and halo of Radharani, that he appears in every Kali Yuga. But just as Krishna appears once in a day of Brahma, so Mahaprabhu, this Mahaprabhu, appears once in a day of Brahma. In other yugas, he's giving Nam Sankirtan, but this internal culture is not there. So this is very extraordinary, and in that song also we sing Avatar Sar, Lord Avatar. So like as Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, all the avatars, incarnations assemble or absorb with him, the same with Mahaprabhu. So move this a little closer. So he's in Nabadwip, and we could say what will later become Radha Bhav. He's in the earlier stages of Bhakta Bhav. Sometimes Gadadhar Pandit, we know, is the remainder of Radharani after Krishna has plundered the mood and sentiments, the heart and halo of Radharani. The remainder is Gadadhar. So Gadadhar Pandit is a very simple, gentle devotee who sometimes Nimai Pandit, in his arrogant scholarly mood, is mercilessly teasing. He likes to meet Gadadhar Pandit and start arguing about something, and then defeat Gadadhar Pandit, then take Gadadhar Pandit's position and use that to defeat himself and defeat that. And it's Gadadhar Pandit's like walking on the other side of the street, trying to. This is their pastime, little bit of that type of mood. And Gadadhar Pandit's thinking, this Nimai Pandit is so beautiful, so charming, so irresistibly sweet. If he was only a devotee of Krishna, he's so arrogant. But it's fine. If he was only a devotee of Krishna, then he would be perfect, because he's not showing that. But in time, so he's showing this type of evolution. And we hear he goes to Gaya ostensibly to perform the funeral rites for his father. And when he returns, the students, they've noticed like his mood has changed. He's a grammar teacher, as we know also, which is interesting. Like the position is like a concealed one. Instead of being on the highest level of Sanskrit punditry, he teaches the grammar school students, the beginning lessons. But that Nimai Pandit, who's teaching grammar to the students, when Kesava Kashmiri, this great scholar, or they say is the favorite son of the goddess Saraswati, he comes to Nabadwip to enhance his reputation by defeating everyone, to show no one can defeat me. When he meets Nimai Pandit tells the students, "Oh, let's go for a walk with Panditji on the banks of the Ganga." They go for a walk on the banks of the Ganga, and Keshav Kashmiri, he gets very inspired and spontaneously composes 100 slokas. It's like just streaming out 100 sloka composition in praise of Mother Ganga. And everyone is astonished. How is that possible? He is extraordinary. Saraswati herself is, infusing his tongue to express these things. And then, so he's also thinking, wow, that was amazing. I just composed 100 slokas. And so, what do you think? Nimai, boy, son. Nimai Pandit said, I thought it was really wonderful. It was extraordinary. But in Sloka 56, and then he quotes that, there I find some anomalies. And Kashmir is thinking I don't even know if I could remember them. How can he remember that particular one? And not only remember it, but remember that there's something wrong with it. And then, because he's Mahaprabhu, he's Krishna, and then some. So he defeats Kesava Kashmiri. So those students, they all remember that. But now Mahaprabhu comes back from Gaya. And what is he doing? When he teaches grammar, what will later become like Jiva Goswami's Harinam Amrita Vyakaran, saying everything means Krishna. Well, what about, the way they teach children things, you just think, Krishna is everything, every word means Krishna, every sentence means Krishna, every phrase means, and they're thinking that he's lost his mind.
That's what the KGB guy said.
Right, of course. So, because he's giving this interpretation, as Guru Maharaj says, quoting Madhvacharya, that when you put reins on a horse, you can lead it in a particular direction. So any word, if you put a context on it, you can give it some local meaning. It'll mean something in local context. But like a horse, if you release the reins, the horse will run according to its own desires. Said if you take off the local context of any word, then it will run towards Krishna conception. So anyway, he's madly saying everything, interpreting everything to mean Krishna. So then the students think, we'll go to his teacher, Gangadas Pandit, and he'll solve the matter. They're also diplomatic, they're high class. They go and they tell, how is everything? Nimai Pandit, after coming back from Gaya, his mood has changed. Now he's giving class and telling everything, every word, every name, every syllable is all Krishna, Krishna. So then he calls Nimai Pandit, explaining to him, what is this new way you're teaching? Please try and do the standard way. Show some respect to your ancestors. They were also Pandits. They weren't foolish people, and they didn't teach it. So everything's good. Please. And yes, Guruji, yes, Pandit. So instead of everything's Krishna, Krishna, he goes back, new class, Gopi, Gopi. Everything, Gopi, 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 Gopi. He's just chanting Gopi, 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 praising the Gopi. Then the students, they start saying, actually, there are some scriptural, references about taking the name of Krishna. That you can do, but this Gopi, Gopi. Now, wait, first he's doing Krishna, everything's Krishna, now it's Gopi, Gopi. They're complaining. And then Mahaprabhu, he picks up a rod, and he starts running after that, and he said, Krishna. Now his mood is becoming more like Gopi Bhav, saying, Krishna, He's a despicable man. He's a woman killer. And he's chasing out, and they're thinking, now he's really lost it. And they're saying, Nimai Pandit, he's crazy. He tried to kill me. He's chanting Gopi, Gopi, and saying Krishna is an evil, wicked man. So why is he saying that? Because in Gopi Bhav, they're saying, yes, the sound of your name, it's killing me. You know, the beautiful sound of your flute, the aroma of your body, it's stealing my mind, my senses, I'm losing my existence. That's what he means when he says, Krishna, he's a woman killer. You know? Anyway, so now they're offending him. And he starts to think, this famous Pipali Kanda sloka, it's a type of medicine. And he's thinking, I came here, I answered the call of Advaita Acharya. Tulsi Dalama Trena Chulasha Jalakena, with a palm full of Ganga Jal and a tulsi leaf, Advaita Acharya brought him down. Sometimes it was Haridas, the two of them are responsible, and Haridas Thakur with his Krishna, they brought him down. He said, so they brought me down in this world to distribute the medicine that can save everyone. What do we say in the song? Krishna Nama, Shuddha Koriya Pranjuda, and what's the other name? Oshud, Enechi Oshudi Mayana, Harinama Maha Mantra. He said, I came with the medicine. Now the patients who I'm supposed to cure, they're cursing the doctor. Now the patient is finding fault with the doctor. So he's thinking, what have I done? They think I'm one of them because we grew up in the same town, we're in similar families, we have family relations. They're thinking I'm one of them, and not exactly in a Jnana Shunya Bhakti type way. So Mahaprabhu devises this plan. He thinks, I'll have to take sannyas. If I take sannyas, then they won't think I'm one of them. Then by force of the observance of social etiquette, they'll be forced to bow down to me and give some respect, and that way they'll benefit. So we're told, he called a handful of his devotees, only a handful knew, Nityananda Prabhu, like Chandrasekhar Acharya, I think Gadadhar, few others. They knew that he was going to do this, but at this time, which is usually, and it is supposed to be like the solstice, but they say, and it's when the sun goes in the northern direction, that because of astrological calculations, what used to be around the 22nd gradually moved to the middle of January, and it keeps moving a couple of degrees every now and then. So it's the time also of Lakshmi Puja. So some devotees, they're thinking it's Lakshmi Puja, there it is, how it seems like some sort of peculiar festive atmosphere. There's garlands with different things. But a handful know, actually, he's going to leave. And it's very sad. Sometimes Guru Maharaj would sing this one line, Nadia Dar Kore Goda Jaire. They were saying, the light of Nabadwip has left. The devotee, they only realize after he's gone their misfortune and the case of some of the mistakes they have made. And in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, there are these two mysterious slokas that end with the line, Vande Mahapurushate Charanarvindam, that appears to be talking about Ramachandra and Ram Lila. Tyakpa Sudushtaja Surepshita Raja Lakshmi Dharmista Arja Vachasa Yadagararanyam Mayam Rigam Dvaita Chitam Anbadavad Vande Mahapurushate Charanarvindam. it appears to be saying that when Ramachandra, he had to renounce the royal throne because of the curse of a Brahmin and enter the forest. Yadagat Aranyam. Right? What is it? Arjavachasa. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says here that really we'll apply this to Mahaprabhu, and what it is saying, Chaktva Sudushtida Surechita Rajalakshmi. Rajalakshmi is a reference to Vishnu Priya Devi. So she, as the wife of Nimai Pandit, she's 14 years old. And she's the ultimate Rajalakshmi. So he says, the imperial throne of the love that is in our heart is inconceivable to us. That we can't even properly estimate how much love, how much affection she has for Nimai Pandit. And what to speak of extension, by Sachi Mata, who is Yashoda, and Krishna Lila is, Sachi Mata and Gaur Lila. So the imperial throne of the love, the prem in the heart of Vishnu Priya, he gives that up. And Arjavachasa, the curse of a Brahmin, what is it? That when they would have nocturnal kirtan at Srivasangam, the original kirtans of Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva were indoors, and where they would go into divine madness, and some people outside, they would hear. Like here in this neighborhood, sometimes the people, they're thinking. So similar, they would think, some envious people would try to say, they're a bunch of drunkards and womanizers, the Lord only knows what's going on inside there. Others, realizing that it was something very divine and confidential, they wanted entrance. Right? Guru Maharaj gave two examples. One was the mother-in-law of Srivas Thakur. She wanted to participate in these kirtans, so she hid once under a big basket. And when Mahaprabhu was dancing and he's with Advaita and Nityananda, and he said, I'm not feeling the bhav tonight. I don't know what it is. And then everyone is saying, now they're all worried in Srivastava, and they said, there must be someone here who's not qualified. They're looking around. And then Srivastava, he lifts up this basket, and there's his mother-in-law, and like grabs her, like drags her out of the room. the ultimate mother's-in-law joke.
First they put it themselves and unqualified.
Well, yeah, they looked around.
How happy they were.
Right. The others who... And then there was one man who... He thought he should be given entrance, and he approached and said, I only drink milk. Right? I don't eat anything. I'm only drinking milk. And Guru Maharaj said, milk drinking is no qualification. So, Hare Krishna. So, anyway, what was I saying? So the Arjavachasa, here, the curse of a Brahmin, he said, then I curse that Nimai Pandit. This is how Leela works. So he's not allowed in. He goes, then I curse Nimai Pandit. He'll have to give up family life. He won't have a happy family life. And so, Arjavachasa Yadagat Aranyam. Like we know that Aranya is one of the 10 principal sannyas names. So sometimes, so much so, that sometimes Aranya means sannyas. Because it means to go to the forest. It's a euphemism for taking sannyas. Yadagat Aranyam. Then when it says, Mayam Rigam Dvaita Ipsita Anvadavan, in Ram Leela, what happened was, who was it? Marichi took the form of a deer, and Sita was very charmed. Oh, look, this beautiful little fawn has come. She's surrounded by the Lakshman Rekha to protect her. And the little cute little fawn comes and she crosses the circle, and that's how Ravana kidnaps her. So Mayam Mrigam, the illusion of the deer, the Doita, the very deer is, but here, what does it mean? Mayam Mrigam Doita Ipsata Ambadava, that out of affection for those souls who are chasing after Maya, Mahaprabhu is chasing after them. In other words, he's chasing after us. Why does he give up this situation? To rescue the fallen souls who are chasing after Maya. That's why he takes sannyas. So, anyway, there's so many things to describe there, but it is when, we'll just say this much for today, that anticipating that he's leaving, remember, it's Lakshmi Puja, other devotees are visiting, so we hear one of the devotees who visits is, and Mahaprabhu's garlanding everyone. They notice it's a bit mysterious, the atmosphere. And Kolavecha Sridhar comes, a famous devotee who's like so poor. We've seen in India these little leaf cups. They're like, you see that they give when you go on parikrama and they put the muri or whatever, those leaf, why are they using those? One thing, it's practical and they're green actually and biodegradable. But they're also the cheapest thing possible. So this man, Kolavecha Sridhar, he made a living selling like some bananas and these leaf plates. Right? And he's so devoted to Mother Ganga that although he had so little income, he'd spent half of his income on Ganga Puja. That was his mood of devotion. But Nimai Pandit, he knows this is one of my eternal associates, Gyanashunya Bhaktas. He would come by and look at his, maybe he had a few good, the other stuff's really cheap, but the good bananas. And he'd those bananas over there, I'd like that. All right, that'll be, Barana. Barana, they're selling them for 4 over, downstream. Then go buy from them. He said, no, I like to buy from you. And he's saying this boy, he comes, he's basically stealing from me. He said, but he's so charming, and so I just can't resist him. Whatever he wants, I give him. So their relationship was basically Nimai Pandit always taking advantage of him. That's their relationship. And that night before, Kolavecha Sridhar comes with this beautiful big pumpkin. And he very humbly offers this as a gift. And Nimai Pandit's heart is breaking. He said, all I ever did was steal from him and abuse him. And with such humility and love and affection, he's coming and offering me this pumpkin. And all these are heartbreaking things. And Nimai Pandit tells Mother Sachi, please turn this into something extraordinary. And she, what do they call that preparation? It's lal something. It's basically like lal kheer. It's like if you took pumpkin, like the way you make sweet rice, but you make it with pumpkin. Very nectarine. So that's the last thing that Sachi Mata cooks for Nimai Pandit, and in the dead of night, she has some anticipation that he will go. In the dead, Vishnu Priya is sleeping, and he awakens around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And so when he walks out the front door, there is Mother Sachi standing, dumbstruck. And Nimai Pandit pays his dandavats to her, and then goes to the Ganga and madly swims across the Ganga and heads toward the ashram of Kesava Bharati. And when the devotees come the next day, they find Sachimata is still outside the house. And they understand something's very wrong. And they ask her, where is Nimai Pandit? And she tells, I can't go in that house anymore. You all take it. It belongs to you now. So, they are heart-rending pastimes. But as Guru Maharaj says, separation penetrates a deeper region of the heart than cheerfulness or the pastimes of union or happiness. So it's very peculiar, and he also says that necessity means separation. And that's why it is advised for us, the safe route of cultivation in Krishna consciousness is in the mood of separation. Because it means in the absence of Krishna. We have some particular necessity that's not being met. That's the criterion. And when necessity is not fulfilled, that's what it means. And he said it's also the painfulness of separation is the way to measure the joy of union. To what degree union will be joyful and happy is to what degree there's depth and feeling and intensity in separation. Whereas he's actually quoting the Ramananda Samvad, where Ramananda, in this talk with Mahaprabhu, says how hunger gives joy to eating and drinking. If you've been fasting or you've achieved a state of intense hunger, then there'll be much joy there. Otherwise, not. So it's an allusion to viraha bhav or vipralamba, the pastimes in separation. So we know that Mahaprabhu, after arriving Katva, and he's requests sannyas from Kesava Bharati. All the people, the word is going from village to village that Nimai Pandit, he also has some fame, having defeated Kesava Kashmiri and being from a high-class family in Nabadwip. The word's spreading, thousands of people are assembling there. Mahaprabhu is very beautiful. They're threatening Kesava Bharati to destroy his ashram if he gives sannyas to Mahaprabhu. And he realizes he's in a very difficult situation. So he thinks one way out of it is if I tell him, you have to get I'll give you sannyas, but you have to get your mother's permission. Then Mahaprabhu starts running to Nabadwip. And then Kesava Bharati, he calls him back and he says, this boy, he's so beautiful, he's so charming. Of course, he'll charm his guardians, they will agree with whatever he says. Why should I waste time in this way? And he realizes he's going to have to do this. And Chandrasekhar Acharya, who is his maternal uncle, starts getting the paraphernalia ready for the sacrifice. And they call a barber in, and the barber, he doesn't want to do it. Mahaprabhu looks too beautiful. He's inconceivably beautiful. And they're saying, now you have to shave his head. And he goes, no, I can't do it. The crowd's yelling and screaming. It's a scene. Finally, somehow they force him. He starts shaving Mahaprabhu's head. Then Guru Maharaj has the other sloka. Was it Laka Lochanasru? Something verse where it says, tears pouring from the eyes of millions. They're all wailing, crying. People are fainting. Remember, they are all great devotees. They're not just people from the street sentimentally charmed for the moment. They're all great devotees. Some of them are demigods descended from the higher planets to participate in these pastimes. They're devastated. They have so much love and affection for Nimai Pandit. And halfway through the shaving, he jumps up and starts doing kirtan and Krishna Nam, and there are other people dancing with him. So some are dancing, some are crying, he's going mad. Keshava Bharati is in anxiety. Chandrasekhar Acharya is getting the yajna pit ready. It's a wild scene. Then they force Mahaprabhu to submit to the rest of the head shaving. And then the barber says, I'll give up the occupation of a barber, I'll never shave another head. And Guru said after that, he took the occupation of a sweet maker. And they say, the sweets he made has some, due to the touch of, he touched Mahaprabhu's head, that infused him, so when he made sweets, they had some extraordinary sweetness to them. So,
And who was the Chaitanya Das?
that was the Srinivasa Acharya's father. He is even not either a boy or not born. And he comes from his village, because the word, and when it comes time for the name giving, this is particularly of interest, because the mantra and the name. So as Keshava Bharati is about to give the mantra, Nimai Pandit leans over and whispers the mantra and said, I heard this in a dream, is this the mantra? And then he said, yes, that is the mantra. So devotees, the great Acharya commentators, they say, because that mantra, up to this point, it is the Mayavadi Sannyas mantra, which is Tattvamasi. You are that, meaning you are Brahman, you are the divine, that's how they interpret it. And they say just before he gives it, Mahaprabhu said, I heard this in a dream. So they say really, Mahaprabhu is giving the mantra to him. Then he's now having been initiated by Mahaprabhu in the proper conception. And what does Tattvamasi now mean? I am his. It is the Gopi Bhav, meaning I belong to Krishna. I am Krishna's. So then he'll say, yes, that is the mantra. So now he has the mantra, and then it comes time for the name. And there are these traditional names like Tirtha, Ashram, Parvat, etc. 10 principal sannyas names. He doesn't give any one of those names. He says instead, because you are giving Krishna consciousness to everyone, your name must be Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And the crowd erupts, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Ki Jai, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And in answer to your question, Srinivasa Acharya, his father is there, and he just starts like, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. He goes in divine madness, just repeatedly chanting Chaitanya. And when he goes back to his village, the people are going, what happened in Katha? And he goes, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. And Guru said in his case, then he just became known as Chaitanya Das for the rest of his life.
He never came out.
He never came out. Chaitanya. Chaitanya.
Just imagine how beautiful it is, right?
Right.
Then you have to have some special mercy.
Right, and also, who is he to receive that? We have to factor in all of these things. These are all extraordinary personalities to participate in these highest pastimes of the Lord. And then Mahaprabhu, he jumps up and they have kirtan, and Guru and disciple are having kirtan in the crowd, and then he runs off madly in search for Sri Krishna, reality the beautiful. Kahan Mora Prananat Murli Vadan, Kahan Korum Kahan Pan, Rajendra Nandan. He's saying, where is Krishna? Like Srila Prabhupada also, interestingly, this Sat Goswami Ashtakam sloka is the last one. Hey Radhe Brajadevike Chalalite Hey Nanda Shuno Kutaha. he put emphasis on this word kutaha, says, where are they? He said, they don't say, they're not talking about direct experience, saying, where? They're talking about searching. Right? The search for Sri Krishna is the substantial thing. No, Mahaprabhu descended to search. What did Gurudev say? What is his searching matter? What is his tasting matter? It's all from the viraha, the vipralamba, the separation position. So he starts running madly, without any, and Guru Maharaj said, in a mood, an infantile-like mood. He's so lost in the internal ecstasy. He's very childlike. And he says the significance of running in any direction, in every direction, searching for Krishna, Guru Maharaj said, from an analytical position, as he's showing, Krishna is everywhere. And not only in one direction. He said that's part of the meaning. But he goes to the Radha, he's going to the east, the north, the south. He's lost in divine madness. And at the same time, Chandrasekhar, Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Mukunda Dutt, and Jagadananda, they're following him. But he starts running so fast and mad, sometimes they lose him, and they become very upset. But then they'll hear some pitiful wailing of someone chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna in a particular direction. Then they run and find Mahaprabhu. He's running, he's sometimes crying. Then as he separates from them, and he goes through Ambika Kalna, because he's circling, he's running madly. That's why when we go from Nabadwip down from the Mat to Kolkata, either way, there are two ways to go. Lately, sometimes we go through the Ambika Kalna route, Gauridas Pandan, and Mahaprabhu runs through there also. He's running all over this area in divine madness, searching for Krishna. And at a particular point, and Nityananda Prabhu, and like a conspiracy with Advaita Acharya, Nityananda has an idea how to capture, because this is going on for 3 days, and Mahaprabhu is fasting, and even Guru Maharaj tells Radharani, when she heard Krishna's plan, like his plan to become her, and she's thinking, your divine form will be crushing on the ground with the thorns. I can't tolerate that, so I'm going to envelop you with my form. That kind of thing. So this is going on. So then Nityananda Prabhu, he, anticipating Mahaprabhu will go a certain way, and we could say Nityananda Prabhu should have a pretty good idea about that. He meets some cowherd boys on the banks of the Ganga and tells them, if this sannyasi comes through here and he's searching for Vrindavan, you point this way. Just point in this direction. So Mahaprabhu is in his divine madness, and then he sees these cowherd boys. And he's saying, oh. And he goes, Hari Bol. And they go, Hari Bol. And he's saying, cowherd boys. Hari Bol. I must be very close to Vrindavan. And then, where's Vrindavan? Like, this way. And, oh, Jamuna. And then he sees this, and going in front of him, he sees someone who appears to be a sannyasi. It's Nityananda Prabhu. And he says, look, who's this guy? And he goes, Sripad. Yeah? What are you doing? He goes, I'm going to Vrindavan. Oh, I want to go with you too. Then come this way. Just follow me. And he's like following him. And then he sees the Ganga, which he thinks is the Jamuna. And he runs madly and jumps in the Jamuna. And starts singing this sloka of Kavi Karnapur, who, what is his specialty? When he was a child, he once like little children, they come up and, they do unexpected things, little babies. He came up and sucked the toe of Mahaprabhu. And later, he became a pundit.
The greatest poet.
Yeah, the greatest poet, Kavi Karnapur. So he has the Gora Chandrodoi. And there's this beautiful sloka, with Chidananda word, Chidananda Bano, etc., Jagat Prema Datri. I don't have it committed to memory, but it's very beautiful in praise of Jamuna and Srila Guru Maharaj. He says that, interesting, what he's saying here is, you can have Brahma, spirit, you can have Shabda Brahma, which is soundized Brahma. He said, but you can have liquid Brahma also. He said, the Jamuna is liquid Brahma. You can have all different types, whatever we can imagine, that you can have a version of Brahma like that. So he's praising Jamuna, and when he comes out, he finds that there's a Dvaita Charja waiting with fresh clothes, dry clothes, and he's saying, Advaita, what brings you here? How did you know I was in Vrindavan? and Advaita Charja says, are you joking? No, how did you know I was here? He said, wherever you are is Vrindavan. Hello? And then he says, Nityananda, and he realized, you've tricked me. And then he comes out of that, and they're saying, please, my Lord, you haven't eaten in 3 days, you come to my house. Advaita Charya said, I'm a very poor Brahmin, I can't arrange much, but if you'll come to my house for a little prasad, my wife will cook something. So they all go there. Hare Krishna. And Advaita sings a very famous line, is how I'm the most fortunate person in the world because Krishna came to my house today. Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.